Zyra ran through the dark forest, her heart pounding in her chest. The sounds of battle still echoed in the distance: explosions, laser fire, and the screams of the wounded. She had never been this afraid before. Her ship had been destroyed, her crew was gone, and she was alone on this strange, dangerous planet. The air was thick with smoke, and her injured leg made every step painful. But she had no choice. If she stopped, the enemy would find her. And if they found her, they would kill her. She stumbled over a root and fell hard against the rough ground. Pain shot up her leg, and she clenched her teeth to stop herself from crying out. Her people did not show weakness. In the Kivani culture, pain was meant to be endured, not expressed. But right now she felt weak. She felt afraid. She pressed her hands into the dirt, trying to push herself up, when she heard a sound, a low, steady beeping. It was close. She froze, her breath shallow. Someone was scanning the area. She turned her head slightly, her sharp eyes searching the darkness. Then she saw it, a small metal drone floating just above the trees. It was not Kivani technology. It belonged to humans. Zyra's heart raced. The humans were here. But were they friends or enemies? Before she could move, a strong hand grabbed her arm. She gasped, twisting her body to fight. But the grip held firm. A voice, deep and steady, spoke in her language. "Don't move. You're hurt." She looked up into the face of a human male. He was tall, his uniform dirty from battle, his blue eyes filled with something she did not recognize: concern. "Let me go," she hissed. The man didn't let go. "If I let you go, you'll die. Your wounds are bad." Zyra's pride told her to fight, but her body was too weak. She tried to stand, but her leg gave out, and the human caught her before she hit the ground. "Easy," he said. "I've got you." She had never been held like this before. Among her people, weakness was punished, not cared for. No one had ever caught her when she fell. Yet this human, this stranger, was holding her as if she mattered. "Why?" she whispered. The man looked confused. "Why what? Why help me?" He hesitated, then gave a small smile. "Because that's what family does." Zyra stared at him, heart pounding. Family. She didn't understand. But as he lifted her gently and carried her toward his ship, she couldn't stop thinking about his words. Family. Zyra opened her eyes to a dim, warm light. For a moment, she didn't remember where she was. The last thing she recalled was the human lifting her, carrying her away from the battlefield. Now she was lying on a soft bed, a thin blanket covering her. She felt strange, safe, but confused. She turned her head and saw metal walls, glowing control panels, and a large window showing the vast darkness of space. This was a human ship. Her heart pounded. Was she a prisoner? Were they going to interrogate her? Before she could sit up, a door slid open with a soft hiss. Captain Reynolds stepped inside, carrying a small metal tray. He placed it on a table beside her. Steam rose from a bowl, and a strange but pleasant smell filled the room. "You're awake," he said, his voice calm. Zyra sat up slowly, keeping her guard up. "Where am I?" "Our ship. You needed medical treatment," Reynolds replied. "We patched up your wounds." She looked down and noticed clean bandages on her leg and arm. Her wounds no longer burned as much. Humans had healed her. "Why?" Reynolds pushed the tray closer. "Eat. It will help you recover." Zyra hesitated, staring at the bowl. In her culture, food was not shared easily. Only close family or trusted allies ate together. Was this a trick? She met his eyes. "Why are you helping me?" Reynolds leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "Because you needed help. Helping a stranger. A soldier from another species." He shrugged. "That's what we do." Kaxera frowned. Among her people, kindness was a weakness. Strength was survival. Yet these humans acted differently. They fought for others, healed their enemies, and called strangers family. It made no sense. Just then, the door opened again. A young human woman stepped inside, smiling. "I heard our guest is awake. Name's Callie. I fixed up your wounds." Zyra stared at her. The woman had no fear, no suspicion, only warmth in her voice. Reynolds gestured toward Zyra. "This is Kyra. She's part of the crew now." Zyra's eyes widened. "What?" Callie laughed. "Welcome aboard." Zyra's mind spun. She was a warrior, trained for battle, raised to see outsiders as threats. But these humans, were they truly different? Or was this all a trick? For the first time in her life, she didn't know what to believe. Zyra sat on the bed, staring at the humans. Captain Reynolds and Callie seemed friendly, but she couldn't understand why. Her people believed that kindness was a weakness. Yet these humans, her supposed enemies, had saved her life. She felt the bandages on her arm and leg. They had treated her wounds, given her food, and even called her part of their crew. But why? No one did something for nothing. Shira's hands clenched into fists. She had to be careful. This could be a trick. Maybe they were trying to make her lower her guard. She needed to escape before it was too late. Reynolds noticed her tense posture. "You don't trust us," he said. Zyra's eyes narrowed. "Should I?" Reynolds sighed. "I get it. You were raised to see us as enemies. But we don't see you that way." Zyra scoffed. "You expect me to believe that?" Reynolds didn't argue. He simply picked up the tray of food and handed it to her. "Eat first. Then decide what you believe." She hesitated but took the tray. The food smelled good, but was it safe? Zyra had been trained to detect poison, but this was human food. It was unfamiliar. She lifted the spoon and took a small bite. Warm, savory. It didn't taste like poison. Reynolds watched her but said nothing. Callie smiled. "Not bad, right?" Zyra didn't answer. She finished the food in silence, her mind racing. If they wanted to harm her, they could have done it while she was unconscious. But that didn't mean they could be trusted. Reynolds stood up. "Get some rest. We'll talk later." As he and Callie left, Zyra's mind filled with questions. Could she escape? Should she escape? Or was this ship safer than the battlefield waiting for her outside? She lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling. She didn't know the answer. Yet, Zyra lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The ship hummed softly around her. She could hear footsteps in the hallway, voices talking in the distance. The humans had left her alone, unguarded. If she wanted to escape, now was the time. She sat up slowly, careful not to make any noise. Her wounds still ached, but she ignored the pain. Her people had trained her to push through injuries. She had escaped from worse situations before. Zyra moved to the door. It slid open with a soft hiss. No guards, no alarms, just an empty hallway. Her heart pounded. Was this a trap? She took a cautious step forward, then another. The hallway stretched ahead, dim lights guiding the way. She had studied human ships before. There would be an escape pod somewhere. If she could reach it, she could return to her people. Footsteps. She froze. Someone was coming. She pressed herself against the wall, holding her breath. The footsteps grew louder, then stopped. Zyra's fingers tightened into fists, ready to fight if needed. A voice spoke. "Going somewhere." She turned sharply. Captain Reynolds stood a few feet away, arms crossed. His expression was calm, but there was something in his eyes. Understanding. Zyra didn't answer. She was ready to run. Reynolds sighed. "I figured you'd try to leave." Zyra narrowed her eyes. "Why didn't you stop me?" "Because I wanted to see what you'd do," he replied. "And because I won't force you to stay." Zyra was stunned. Her people never gave choices. Orders were followed. But here was a human telling her she was free to decide. "I can leave?" she asked cautiously. Reynolds nodded. if that's what you want. Syra hesitated. If she left, she would return to war, to a life where trust was dangerous and kindness was weakness. If she stayed, what then? She looked past Reynolds, down the empty hallway. Freedom. Then she looked at the ship, at the place where, for the first time, she hadn't been treated like a soldier, but like something else. I don't understand humans, she admitted. Reynolds smiled. Stick around. Maybe you will. Syra took a deep breath. Maybe, just maybe, she would. Syra stood in the hallway, staring at Captain Reynolds. Her heart pounded in her chest. She could leave. Nothing was stopping her. The escape pod was just down the corridor. But something inside her hesitated. She had spent her whole life fighting. She had always been told humans were the enemy. But these humans, Reynolds, Callie, and the rest of the crew, had shown her kindness. They had saved her, healed her, and treated her like one of their own. Could she really walk away from that? Reynolds didn't push her. He simply stood there, waiting for her decision. Syra finally sighed. I don't understand you, humans, she admitted. Reynolds chuckled. Yeah, we get that a lot. Syra looked down at her hands. They were rough, scared from years of battle. She had been trained to see kindness as weakness, to never trust anyone. But for the first time, she felt safe. She took a deep breath. If I stay, what happens next? Reynolds grinned. You become part of the crew. Syra hesitated for only a moment longer. Then, slowly, she nodded. The crew welcomed her with smiles. Callie clapped her on the back. Looks like you're stuck with us now. Syra let out a small laugh, a sound she hadn't heard from herself in a long time. For the first time in her life, she wasn't just a soldier. She was something else. Maybe she was finally home.